Welcome to the ultimate Tourney tournament. This is Middle-earth Madness. Welcome, everyone, to the final night of the second round of the Rome tournament, our summer tournament here in Middle-earth Madness. Rome, of course, standing for Races of Middle-earth. If you're just tuning in, watching for the first time, here is what we are doing up here in the Chamber of Death. We are doing a 32-character summer tournament. And here is our bracket. So as we cruise through the bracket here real fast, you can see that it is sort of an unusual bracket. Instead of the very worst seeds fighting the very best seeds in the first round and progressing from there, our very best, well, the seeds, all the one seeds, for example, play each other right off the bat for a chance to see who can advance to this quarterfinal round, the Sweet 16. Right, so the two seeds you hear you see here on the right, Azaghal, Elrond, Aragorn, and Shelob. Those are all of our two seeds, and they're grouped together by race. Right, so one of each race is in each seeding group. Another example: all your 7 seeds here: Glowing, Thranduil, Imrahil, Ugluk. That's a dwarf, an elf, a man, and an evil creature. So that's layer 1, and then it sets up such that the same Tolkien race can't fight each other for 2 rounds, and whichever one seed, like the 2 seeds in this case, in the first example, can progress to this quarterfinal round. That would be the race, right? Whoever comes out of that represents not only the race, but also all the other of his seed line. So 2 seeds in that example. He represents 2 seeds to advance to the quarterfinal against the 7 seed. That'll make more sense here in just a minute as we show you the next layer. The next layer is this. This is our updated scoreboard. So here we have Engine Chief on the left, having selected the best bracket so far. So he made the most correct predictions, right? Just like you guys are when you fill out a normal March Madness bracket or something. He's got 12 correct predictions, 12 points worth of correct predictions, I should say, because the first round correct predictions are all worth 1, but then in the second round they're worth 2. In the third they're worth 4. In the next round they're worth 8, and ultimately in the championship they're worth 16. So that's the blue layer you see at the bottom. But Engine Chief fighting as evil creatures has 8 bonus points, and that's the orange layer on top there, right? So orange layer is, as you see at the key at the bottom, races. So Engine Chief, for example, he's evil. And so if throughout his bracket, each time he's correctly selected...
I'm not evil. My characters are evil.
Okay, correction accepted. You're playing as the evil races. And so each time he calls correctly an evil guy to win, he gets bonus points for that prediction on top of the correct prediction in his bracket. So how's that stack up? Well, Engine Chief's in the lead so far, followed by Patty Man playing as men. And then Chucky playing as dwarves. Chucky off to the hot start, of course. Naugrim, the dwarves got off to a very good start. And then Hanti bringing up the rear with the struggling elven race so far in this tournament. So that is where we're at. Flashback to the bracket here. We're just having a quick look. What elves are left in the field? Well, one that's about to fight tonight, and that would be Elrond, 2 seed. The strongest elf that's left in the field. Of course, he being only a half elf, technically. But he chose, when given the choice, quite literally, by the Valar, to be an elf. So, for all intents and purposes, he is one of the Eldar. We also have Thranduil left in the field, and the winner of tonight's fight between Elrond and Aragorn will, in fact, fight Thranduil. Which is not what you want as a member of the elves like Hanti, because then after that, you're only going to have one elf, and that's it for elves on this half of the bracket. Flashback to the other side. Who do we got? Second fight tonight, by the way, Durin against Kamul to determine the 1 seed champion, and which 1 seed advances to the quarterfinals. The winner of that will fight Bali. Then we've got Boromir against Faramir, so no elves left on this side. Man, elves have had a tough time. Rough draw for the elves. Truth be told, if I were selecting a race at the outset of this, I probably would have picked the elves. I really liked how Glorfindel stacked up against some of these guys. And what happens? Well, because of the nature of this bracket, ones fight ones in the first round, and Glorfindel was instantly slain in the first fight by Durin. So it's been kind of a fun tournament format to mess with over here. Now then, as mentioned before, who is our first fight of the night? Well, yes, it is Aragorn against his foster father, Elrond. Now, it's not obvious in the lore. I feel like it's pretty well known out there, but it's not really obvious in the movies, and you have to kind of dig to find it in the lore, in the events of the books too. So it's worth mentioning. Elrond, of course, I mentioned the foster father of Aragorn, even though Aragorn is a man. But what happened was Arathorn, Aragorn's dad, was slain by orcs in the Misty Mountains. And so Aragorn was fostered in Rivendell by just about the only set of people who knew his identity, right? His secret identity, of course, is being the heir to the throne of Gondor and Arnor, the last of the Númenórean race of old. So he's a direct descendant of Elendil and, after him, Isildur, right? And so Aragorn, being the lore master that he is, knew this and fostered him in Rivendell. And so did his sons, who became best friends with Aragorn. Those are Elendil, Elrohir and Elladan, the twin sons of Elrond. Of course, Elrond's daughter is Arwen, who ends up marrying Aragorn. Spoiler alert. The end of the movies, end of the stories. So, the neat connection between these two characters. And, something else that we came across, I didn't even know this for a long time until I started asking what should be a kind of obvious question. Well, if Aragorn was being fostered in Rivendell, where was he during the events of The Hobbit? Did Gandalf meet him? Did Thorin meet him? Did Bilbo meet him? Well, it turns out he was a 10-year-old boy, Aragorn was, during the events of The Hobbit. He was, in fact, in Rivendell when Thorin's company passes through on the way to the Lonely Mountain. But we don't know if he interacted with anyone. Probably not, right? They were doing some pretty adult conversation type stuff, and Elendil was probably being watched by a nanny or two, or maybe secretly spying on Arwen bathing in the old Bruinen down there or something. We don't know what he was doing, but he was a 10-year-old boy during the events of The Hobbit. Kind of interesting to think about. So let's see how these characters stack up. I'm pulling up the character cards too. If you guys are following along at home, go to MiddleEarthMadness.com, bracket tracker page. Yours will look a little bit different than this because you don't have these gray text areas to advance the characters like I do behind the scenes. Commish powers. But you can click on any character and see their little character card here, like a little baseball card for those of you who collected cards back in the day, right? You got the record of the character here, and this is how they performed in our round robin tournament. Not tournament really, but just everyone fights everyone pre this tournament, and that's what gives us our data set to, inform you guys and to correctly see these characters based on how they did. So Elrond, 2 seed, obviously he's one of our heavy hitters here. He went 23-8 in the regular season, with key victories against Azagall, Glorfindel, that would be a 1 seed, Aragorn, who he's fighting tonight, and Helm Hammerhand. He only lost 8, but 4 of those 8 were against Gimli, Bard, an 8 seed. So that's an upset right there. Bad loss by Elrond, Legolas, and Glowing. So only one really bad loss to Bard there. Interesting that he did, in fact, beat Aragorn when they fought in the regular season, though. So let's see if Aragorn's out for revenge tonight. So what is Elrond's skill set? Well, scrolling through these stats real fast, you see excellent stamina, 94. Striking, meh. In melee, could be better. High magic, though, 80 magic. And 80 striking, right? So no slouch, but his ranged attack is 78. He does have, as you can see on his finger there, the Elven Ring. So he's not a putz in melee. He's actually one of the more versatile characters. He can fight either way, kind of based on matchup here. And so throughout a tournament like this, you see him favor range most of the time, I would say, because that Elven Ring is pretty fell. It might not, it's not 99, right? But 78, once you start crunching these numbers, means that he's going to hit from range most of the time. And the hit at 78 is going to do a fair bit of damage, right? So defensively, 86 Valor, 81 Elusiveness, 80 Spirit. Pretty good on defense. And Aragorn, on the other hand. Aragorn needs no introduction. I've kind of already given him one anyway, right? Dunedain Ranger and the King of Gondor. Enough said. 21-10 in the regular season. Key victories against Durin, a 1 seed. Círdan, 3 seed. Shelob, 2 seed. Gil-galad, 3 seed. So he can go toe-to-toe with just about anyone. Did lose to Galadriel, no shame in that. The Battle White, mid-range seed. Could have beaten Éomer, but hey, Éomer's pretty fell too. And Azog, the orc captain. His main skill set, that being Aragorn, good ferocity, good stamina, but very good striking at 88 with his sword, Andúril. So he's wielding Andúril, and he does have a decent ranged attack, I'll say. Very accurate with his bow, being trained by elves, of course. But piercing leaves a little to be desired, so he's going to prefer melee in most fights. Defensively, the Valor's pretty much maxed out, which is consistent with lore. Very good toughness, especially as for the race of men, they don't typically make it up into the 80s on toughness, but he being, a Númenórean descendant, he does a little better in some of these stats than the rest, as you'd expect. So with that, Engine Chief, any thoughts as we pull up the battle engine here?
Oh, I thought you did a brilliant job of saying all that.
Said, thank you. Well, let's see what the math says.
Yeah, math. There we go.
Yay, math. Numbers. Blue line, Elrond. Green line, Aragorn. Gives you a nice little snapshot of how their skills stack up directly with each other. Magic advantage to Elrond, is that true? How can that be right? Am I reading this right? Magic. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not reading this right. 80 magic for Elrond, 50 magic for Aragorn. Yeah, sorry. I'm reading that backwards. So yeah. The advantage is in favor of Elrond there. I was about to say that'd be weird. piercing, of course, with that Elven Ring is going to go in Elrond's favor. Let's see about the battlefield, though. So as we look at this here, you can see my mouse. Aragorn prefers melee, no surprise. He's going to use Anduril, and Elrond is going to use the Elven Ring Vilya. And they're going to get to use those preferred attacks about 87% of the time, based on battlefield conditions. So, who does that stack in favor of to you, Engine Chief? Any predictions in this one?
The differences there shown in the red boxes, the red histogram thing, magic and spirit. So together what those mean is when Elrond scores a hit on Aragorn, it's going to tend to do more damage than vice versa.
Yes, exactly. Okay, well said. As we welcome Farmer David.
The last layer of things, you've got to engage, you've got to hit, you got to penetrate the armor to make a wound, but the wounds may be more devastating.
Yes.
Everything else looks fairly similar.
Yep.
Guess that makes sense, and they're raised in the same house and this and that.
Elrond learned him all he knows, but he can't change, his race at the end of the day. Elrond, half elven, yes, but he, for all intents and purposes, he's an elf, right? He chose that path, and he embodies that path. Aragorn, again, yes, elvish blood, but you got to go way back. He's a Númenórean man at the heart of things. Farmer David, I see you've joined. Any prediction in this Battle of Rivendell, if you will?
Hey, yeah, this is a good fight. I enjoyed that chat. Man, I gotta go with, I guess, Father Elrond, if you will, but should be close. I'm rooting against my own pick. I'm going for Aragorn. If I had to bet $100 on it, I'd probably say Elrond.
Yeah. And so that's the question about the lore is we never see Elrond fight in any of the lore, do we?
Correct.
Not in the Third Age. Not in the Third Age, anyway.
Yeah. Other than so whenever the Battle of the Last Alliance was, which is right at the kind of the end of the Second Age, right?
Yep. Yep, and he did damage. He was fell both then and going back even further, right, in some of these skirmishes before the Last Alliance, in the process of setting up Rivendell and everything. So,
yeah, but in that scenario, in terms of the Battle of the Last Alliance, I see him more as Ulysses S. Grant, if you will, like a commander.
Yeah.
Who was no weenus by any means, but
right.
Yeah, more of a tactician. I don't know. That's just the way I thought of it.
I agree. Yeah, and like a general, and a general's not out there swinging blades all the time. He will if he needs to. But
right.
Total side note, I'm listening to a great podcast about Genghis Khan. Holy smokes.
Yeah.
Let me just say, I'm never going to complain about war crimes ever again in the modern era. Ever. Yeah. Dude, it's just everything's on such a complete other level. Anyway, no need to go down that rabbit hole, but you just reminded me of generals. Now that was a general who'd get out and do some fighting himself, right? And those kind of, and you see those every once in a while. So maybe Elrond did some of that, but you're right. It never really happens on the page or on the screen. So it's hard. It's hard for, and in the Second Age, of course, Gil-galad had the ring that Elrond would eventually have. So he didn't even have a magic ring yet. So yeah, that's where we're at. So one vote for Elrond and two votes for Elrond here, but one rooting for Aragorn and one rooting for Elrond. Now, David and Engine Chief, neither one has a dog in the fight.
Yeah, not really.
David's dwarves and Engine Chief is evil in his bracket.
Hey, I'm sorry to cut you off, but did you already show the graphic? I haven't seen that in a couple days.
Which graphic? The scoreboard?
Oh, this one.
Yes, very good.
So here's scoreboard.
Okay. I guess I still have hope.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the points go up at next round.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, unlike we were just looking at elves because we were a little surprised that elves are actually doing the worst in this tournament. And Auntie has a little bit of a rough path because the two elves that are really left, one of them's fighting now, but the other one that's left is going to fight the winner of this in the next round. So only one elf can advance out of here. So elves are looking like it's going to like Elrond. You got to root for Elrond tonight if you're team elves, I think, to have your best chances going forward. Are we prepared to fight?
No, let's do a quick, just for fun. Let's do a quick over/under on the number of rounds on this one.
Oh, those are fun.
Nice. Okay.
I guess I don't know what the line is. Obviously, let's set it at 35.
35 rounds. Well, we've seen one go 2 rounds. I can tell you what the two outliers are. I'm pretty sure it's 134 rounds on one end and 2 rounds on the other end. Those are our two ends of the
one round when Aragorn slew Shelob. Wasn't it 1 round?
It was 2.
Was it 2? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so 35 is fair-ish. Maybe we should say 37.5 or something like that. I'm not going to overthink it. It's just for fun.
Sure. 37.5. Who's taking the over?
I'll go over. Fine.
I'll go over.
All right. I'll go under. Why not?
Why not?
Very fun.
Then let us fight. In our first fight of the last night of the second round of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have an all-Rivendell Elven clash between Aragorn and Elrond. Let us fight. First attack goes to Elrond with the Elven Ringvillia. Hits but does no damage. Back comes Aragorn. He engages, can't hit. Back comes Elrond. He hits, cannot wound. Okay, so Aragorn's turn. Swings Andúril, cannot hit. Elrond engages, can't hit. And they're dancing through 7 rounds. Back and forth they go, approaching 10 rounds. The first blood is drawn by Elrond with the Ringvillia. Slight smite, but it deals about 24 damage. Advantage to Elrond going into the 12th. Aragorn picks himself up, dusts himself off. What can he do? Nothing! Can't engage. Elrond comes back. A hit! No damage. Aragorn. A hit! No damage. Elrond. A hit again! More damage! Another slight smite, taking Aragorn down below half of his life.
Uh-oh.
Significant lead for Elrond in the 15th round. Okay, Aragorn. Approaching now or never. What can he do? He engages. He cannot engage. Elrond comes back. Engages. Can't hit. Aragorn needs a strike. Can he hit it here? A hit and a wound. Only slight damage. Tink. By the Dunedain bow. So Aragorn forced to use a ranged attack there. And it does a little damage. Not enough to matter. Elrond comes back. Ranged attack. Nothing. Oh, another blow by Aragorn! Again with the Dunedain bow. Maybe he's going to stick with that now. As we said in the pregame, he does have a pretty good ranged attack. Very accurate, only okay with the piercing. Okay, whose turn is it? It's Elrond in the 21st round. Attacks. Engages, can't hit. Aragorn counters. Hits. No damage. Elrond. Can't engage. Aragorn. Can't engage. Elrond. Another wound. Only slight. Survivable. Aragorn's hanging in there in the 25th round. He attacks. Hits. No damage. Elrond, very good so far at blocking all damage from the ranger of the Dunedain. Okay. Can Elrond land a death stroke? He attacks. Engages. Cannot hit. Aragorn counters. Engages. Can't hit. Elrond. Engages, can't hit. Aragorn can't even engage, and they're dancing in the 32nd round. Approaching our over-under line of 37 rounds. Can someone land a death stroke? Or are you guys going to be right? Engages, cannot hit for Elrond. Oh, a blow for Aragorn! Fell stroke, and Aragorn takes the lead in the 34th round to even the fight. Very nice. Finally, a stroke from Andrio gets through. And we're pretty even in 34. Elrond gets himself up, dusts himself off, and attacks. Engages, can't hit. Back comes Aragorn. A hit and a wound! Isn't enough! Slain! And the under hits at 36 rounds.
Oh
Aragorn
no!
Wins.
Vegas knew!
Vegas knew. Whoa!
Well,
Pretty damn good fight right there.
That feels like collusion right there.
Zeus. Drop a comment. Let us know how you guys like that one. That was a good one right there. Little
kind of funny
from
'cause I
behind
just
action by
37.5
Aragorn.
out of thin air. Honestly, I was just kind of thinking based on what I've seen, but that's funny how that worked.
Man, it's grim for the elves though. Now the elves are on total life support.
Good. The elves are like the Jews. We don't care about them.
Well, I mean, I will say that, dude, the elf that's left is by far the least rootable one, and that's Thranduil.
My wife just smacks me because that was a joke. I got
Ripping on
smacked.
the Jews.
Good measure.
We're politically incorrect up in here. It's all good.
Yeah, it's just a joke. It's fine. I'll make fun of Muslims next time.
Yeah. Speaking of which, South Park is back on the air, and I heard the latest episode was a banger. I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, same. I have not seen it, but it should be fun.
Rips on their own studio. They just had to renegotiate their whole contract with the studio because Paramount is getting bought by some other studio, and there's a merger, and they're right in the middle of renegotiating. You know, should we leave this show or should we make 5 new seasons? If we're going to make 5 new seasons and 50 new episodes, we want more money. It's leverage, right?
Yeah.
If they can get out there and make it, then they're going to go chase it and make it. And so they sign their deal, and then the very first episode they just rip. Apparently, I haven't seen it. They rip the studio a new one apparently, and then they also rip on Trump for suing their studio, which is owned by CBS, right? And he sued CBS for defamation. So that one's
silly.
potential.
So what's it on these days? Just curious. I don't mean to go down this rabbit hole, but
I think Paramount Plus streaming. But I was wondering the same thing. I haven't confirmed that yet. But I think
should we have Paramount Plus? Okay. Apparently, I have that. So
yeah.
Cool. Well, anyway, back to Lord of the Rings. That was a good fight.
Great one. Okay, so pulling up the bracket. We are going to advance Aragorn, son of Arathorn, who has just slain Elrond in a pretty dramatic come-from-behind victory there. Refresh the bracket, slide back over. We've got, yes, Aragorn advancing to take on Thranduil. I'm not sure why Thranduil doesn't show up in the graphics. It's a weird graphic glitch we got going there. But anyway, Legolas's daddy against Aragorn in the quarterfinals. Last elf left in the field, Thranduil. Wouldn't have guessed it. And who fights next? Yes, only the 1 seeds and the very most fell characters in the field. Durin against Kamur the Nazgul. Who is Kamur the Nazgul, you might ask? Definitely not one of the better known characters, as we pull up his character card here. I think he had the best record in the field at 26-5. Key victories against Elendil, 1 seed, Azakal, 2 seed, Shelob, 2 seed, and Elrond, 2 seed. Key losses, Balin, Thranduil, apparently Thranduil punches above his weight. Azog and the Watcher in the Water. You look at his stats, I will say you'd expect the stats to be a little higher. Just cruising through there, you don't see any maxed out 99s or anything, right? But he's also not bad at anything at all. Except armor. I mean, armor it's the only thing he's bad at. Especially on offense. So his worst thing is piercing with his ranged attack. And that's still at 70. That's not bad for a ranged attack. Okay? Your best characters in the game barely get into the low 90s with piercing. I think, well, I'm talking like third age dudes. We do use the full, 1 to 100, or I guess 1 to 99 sort of Madden ratings for these numbers. And so there are some first age type heavy hitters that are 99, from range, just maxed out. But those guys are dragons. So you're talking about dragon fire, right? So short of Calagon the Black, a 70 is pretty damn good for a ranged attack. But back to the question of who is Kamul, just for a second here. Well, the short answer is he is the second in command of the Nazgul. Right, so you have the Witch King, better known Lord of the Rings character, stabs Frodo on Weathertop, duels Gandalf at the gates of Minas Tirith in the Return of the King, ultimately goes down to Eowyn, fulfilling that prophecy of Glorfindel. And no man shall hinder me, right? But no man am I. Cool scene, especially how I do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, if not the Witch King, it's Kamul as sort of his second in command. The lore, it's unclear. I just looked it up again on the webs before the show because I wasn't fully trusting, my own remembrance of the facts. And Kamul, we don't know if he's an Easterling or a Southron. It seems to be down to one of the two, a former king of Rune or a Black Numenorian from Far Harad. We know all we know really for sure is that one or two of the Nazgul do represent the Easterlings and the Haradrim and the forgotten races of men that used to have kingdoms, like the Deadmen of Dunharrow is a good example of a erstwhile kingdom of men that's been obliterated at some point in the past that could have been given a ring by Sauron and become one of the Nazgul. But for Kamul, some interesting facts that you do know from the lore. He was the one, apparently, according to the letters of Tolkien, that threatened.
Wait, he's the one who what?
Threatened Sam Gamgee's father in Hobbiton. Now, this wasn't in the movie. All that was shown in the movie was one of the Nazgul. I don't know which one it was that asked Farmer Maggot, Shia Baggins, right? And he said, they're up in Hobbiton. And Grip and Fang are barking, right? That's the movie scene. In the book, though, right when they're sneaking away from Bag End, there is a Nazgul that comes up to the Gaffer Gamgee's house. And they barely avoid him, and they cross hedgerow, and they're going down to Tuckborough, and they're able to escape and get to Tuckborough. Apparently, it's Kamul that accosts Gamgee's father, and then he was also on the bridge of the Horwell River, close to Rivendell, and right when the hobbits and Aragorn are approaching, and Glorfindel actually drives them off the bridge and places that green stone on the bridge to indicate that it's safe passage. So another cool Kamul fact there. It was also Kamul that was chasing the hobbits to the fords of the Brandywine. Not the ford, the Brandywine. What's it called, guys? Ferry, Buckleberry Ferry. Thank you. Right, and so he's leading that pack of 5 Nazgul that are chasing the hobbits before they even get to Bree. So you do recognize Kamul, you just didn't know that you recognized Kamul. Second in command of the Nazgul. So just some cool background info for you there. Where were we? Ah, yes. Character cards. So, how does Kamul stack up against Durin? Durin, of course, Dwarf Lord of Khazad-dûm in the Second Age. Wielder of one of the Dwarven Rings of Power, the first of them, in fact, the first and greatest. But ultimately, the Durin that gives the name to the Balrog, who's long been imprisoned in the bowels of Moria, just waiting there until the dwarves delved too greedily and too deep, right? And they awoke the last Balrog, of course. And the Balrog slays Durin and is afterward known as Durin's Bane. But before that, interestingly, this Durin also fights in the Last Alliance. We don't see dwarves fighting in the Last Alliance of what is called elves and men, but the dwarves also fight in that war. You got to remember, it's a war, a whole campaign, and not just one battle, right? But the most famous battle of that war overshadows the rest. You know, you think slopes of Mount Doom, the battle at the gate of Udun and outside of Mordor. Well, the dwarves were fighting orcs on the battlefield in the valley of the Anduin all the way back to the Misty Mountains. So they did, in fact, win battles and help the elves in that war. We just don't see them in the very last stages, right, against Sauron outside Mount Doom. So 2 interesting characters, lesser-known characters here. But Durin, of course, also a heavy hitter. Just look at his defensive stats real quick. 88 armor, 85 toughness, 86 valor, 88 deflection, right? So if the Nazgul wants to use ranged attacks, 88 deflection, pretty dang stout. He being Kamul, probably better off with the melee attack, although, man, there's just no good way no easy way, I should say, to hurt a dwarf. You got to kind of rely on the fact that they being dwarves, sorry, Chucky, they have a difficult time engaging the enemy sometimes with lower stamina and agility. But pretty good striking, pretty good ferocity. Hell, even some good magic and spirit, because again, this is one of the dwarves that has a ring of power. So let's turn to the battle engine. You guys can tell me what you think of this fight as I get it pulled up.
This is super important because the winner will be the 1 seed going into the Sweet 16, a favorite to win it all.
Well said. Yep, important fight here. Let me get it pulled up. Who do you guys got in this one? You want to do any side bets?
Oh, Kamul for sure.
Ninja Chief's going Team Kamul. No bias at all, right? Given that you're
really,
fighting as evil. All right, let's pull up the old battle engine here. We've got it ready. Ah, yes. The numbers. So the first thing that jumps out to me, look at this here. So, battlefield conditions slightly in favor of Kamul. They're only going to use their preferred weapons about 70% of the time here. For Durin, that means the Hammer of Khazad-dûm. For Kamul, that means necromancy. He's gonna go with the ranged combat here, and we already touched on that. What do you think about that, Engine Chief? Ooh, a decision, perhaps?
No.
What's his piercing? 70 piercing, 75 accuracy for Kamul, going against Durin's range defense, which is his dexterity
deflection,
and deflection. So very good deflection, but very bad dexterity. Right, so he's going to hit him quite a lot. Is he going to wound him? So that's piercing against deflection. 70 against 88, so advantage Durin on withstanding the blows on that one. How do you see that one?
Well, I guess I'll go with the robot there in the pregame comments. Unfavorable odds to Durin.
Yes.
Not exactly seeing. I mean, it's just these are pretty even, really.
Yep. Kamo should be able to engage during melee, but he's not going to use melee. Durin should be able to wound if scoring a hit in melee. That makes sense. Kamo doesn't have armor. All right.
Yeah, I think this is a hard one to predict. I thought it would be more obvious, but it's kind of not.
Yeah. No, well said. It's an important one though, as you said before.
Yeah.
And without further ado, we're about to find out how this one goes down.
Neither of these guys will see as tough an opponent after this.
Yep.
Not by a lot, but still.
Let us see. Let them fight. In our last fight of the second round of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have a clash of number 1 seeds with Durin against Kamur the Nazgul. Let them fight! First attack. Less favorable weapon by the Nazgul. He goes with his Morgul blade. Engages but cannot hit. Back comes Durin for the dwarves. Attacks. Can't engage. Nazgul engages, can't hit with necromancy. Durin engages, can't hit. Kamul, first blood drawn by the Nazgul, piercing with his necromancy. Slight smite, gets through the dwarven armor there. What can Durin do about it? He attacks, engages, cannot hit. Kamul attacks, engages, cannot hit. Back and forth they go, dancing a little bit. Mool forced to use his less favorable weapon, the Morgul blade. Ooh. Okay, nothing going. Through 10 rounds, advantage to the Nazgul. Now Durin hits, wounds! Heavily hewn! And Durin strikes the Nazgul with the Hammer of Khazad-dûm, draining half his life in one stroke. Advantage to Durin through 10 rounds, but the Nazgul is not out of the fight. What can he muster? He attacks, engages, cannot hit. Durin, can he do more damage? With the Hammer of Khazad-dûm, cannot do any damage there. Okay, back comes the Nazgul, engages, can't hit. Durin engages, nothing. And they're dancing through 16 rounds, back and forth, circling, bobbing, weaving. Oh, a wound there! Again by Durin he uses his ranged attack, and it gets through. He's got the Nazgul on the ropes a little bit. Through 19 rounds, Kamul gets himself up, dusts himself off, attacks, hits, cannot do any damage. Back comes Durin. Attacks, cannot engage. Kamul counters. Engages, can't hit. Durin, nothing. Kamul, nothing. Durin, and they're dancing through the 25th round. How do you see this one shaking out, guys? 25 rounds down.
I wouldn't have thought it made it to the 37 and a half, but now it looks like it might.
Woo! Durin has the initiative, and he attacks. Can't engage. Kamul counters. Hits. No damage. Can't wound. Dwarven armor is a very real thing. Now, Durin attacks. Hits. Wounds again. Very little damage. Kamul is refusing to go down easily. But can he do any damage to the fell dwarf? Kamul attacks. Engages. Cannot hit. Durin hits, wounds, and takes the Nazgul down to the very brink of death. Or undeath, perhaps, for the Nazgul. Now, back comes the Nazgul. He needs damage, and he needs it now. Can he wound? A hit and a slight wound. Not enough. Better than nothing, though. Okay, he's on the ropes. Can Durin finish it? He can't even engage.
I don't think Durin's odds are overwhelming here.
Yep. Oh, hits but doesn't wound. Durin engages, can't hit. Kamul, cannot. He engages, but he cannot wound. Durin, nothing. Another hit there, but no damage by Kamul. Durin, take off the armor. He hits and can't wound. Kamul hanging in there. Can he do any damage? No. Durin counters. A hit and a wound, is it enough? Slay. And Durin wins, slaying the Nazgul. And our 1 seed in the rest of the tournament will be
Yes. Very good.
Yeah, you need a 1 seed in the rest of the tournament, too.
Man. Durin. There you go. Strongest character left in the tournament. How do you feel about that, Chucky?
OP. I love it. Very good.
The dwarf. See, I had fun with that one because, again, you don't see dwarves on screen or on page too much, and you wonder about one of the reincarnations of Durin going up against an undead ring wraith, you know?
It's always fun to imagine more of the impact that they could have had, you know?
Yeah. Back to the bracket. So we will advance Durin the 4th over Kamul the Nazgul to the quarterfinals. Yes. Now it'll be dwarf on dwarf violence as our 8 seed Balin, who slew Haldir and Bard, will advance to take on a distant kin in Durin. So quite a few. Let's see, how many dwarves are left? We got 2 there, 2 men on the bottom half of that side of the bracket. Then on this side we have 2 evil guys, Barrow White and Olaghai, and then Aragorn and Thranduil. Okay, so only 2 dwarves left.
But they now are in first place, having earned 9 points for their race.
Sorry, say that one more time, Engine Chief.
And Elf is at 7.
Okay. Very nice. What was I doing? Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second here. What's going on? All right, there we go. Yeah, so Durin Balin, Boromir Faramir, that's a great fight. So it's going to be dwarf against man on this side of the bracket, any way you slice it. Dwarf against man on that side.
Evil against
man or elf. Interesting. So men are very nicely situated from here on out. We're just going to have to see what happens, fellas. All right.
Play the games.
That is all the fighting that we have on tap for tonight. Thanks, everyone, for joining in. Thanks, Farmer David. Thanks, Engine Chief. Good to talk with you guys, as always.
Yes.
Do all the things, people that are watching this. Look at on that red banner. Oh, fancy graphics. go to Middle Earth Madness. We got a cool website for you guys. Check it out, play around, learn some stuff about some characters, learn some stuff about Engine Chief's battle engine, the algorithm, how it works. It's all there. So check out MiddleEarthMadness.com. And with that, we bid all of you a very good Thursday night. And in the words of Gandalf, Mithrandir, you can only come to the morning through the shadows. And where there is light, there is always hope. You are never out of the fight. We'll see you guys next time.